Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Melody and on this channel I share dog content, so if you love dogs, be sure to click the subscribe button down below and let's get into today's video. Can dogs be together again after a dog fight? Dog fights can be really scary. How do you deal with dog fights? What can you do to prevent it? These are some of the things that I'm gonna talk about today, so I hope you stick around. I just wanted to mention before we start that I do not consider myself to be a dog expert or, you know, some big I know it all about dogs. I'm just a little old lady. I'm just a dog-loving girl who has a big interest for dogs and dog psychology and dog behavior and all the good stuff. It's rusty here. And you know, I'm learning on the way, but I do have some experience with dog fights and overall dogs. So what I know I'm going to share, and if you have something more to say about the topic, be sure to comment down below. And yeah, let's go. Why do dogs fight? There are a couple of reasons why dogs fight. One of them is that the dogs have too many similarities. We can look at a working place in the human world, and you know, let's say there are two main bosses in the company. They have the same position, they are competitive, and every time where there is competition, there can eventually be fights, and that's the same with dogs. So if two dogs have very many similarities, say it's two males, they are maybe 3-4 years old, they have the same kind of energy level, the same kind of body language, which indicates that they are maybe both are upfront and they want to decide everything. Now that's not a good combo, and that will most likely end in a dog fight, because, you know, two leaders in one pack, it doesn't really work. Another reason is claiming toys, food. You as an owner, maybe if it's a mother dog, her puppies, the couch, the car, you know, dogs, they find things to claim. And if we don't put on the leadership role and we claim the stuff before they do, then, you know, if one dog claims, say, food, and another dog comes, and that second dog does not respect when the first dog growls, it's gonna be a fight, you know? They're protecting what they see as theirs. Another reason why dogs can start to fight is overexcitement. Often when dogs play, that playfulness and that it can escalate and turn into a fight if you don't watch out. So another reason why dogs can fight is because they are redirecting a bite that was meant for somebody else, but they couldn't get to that object, that person or animal or bike or car or whatever. So they redirect it maybe to the human, and well, that doesn't really create a fight, not a dog fight anyway. Or if we have more dogs in the same pack, they can redirect that bite and that energy to that dog. And if that dog, I mean, he probably wants to protect himself or herself, so he's gonna bite back, and there we got a fight that, you know, was meant for another dog. So that's also a reason why dogs can decide to, fight. Well, they don't really decide to fight. It's instinctual. It just happens. So, moving on. How do you stop a fight that's already started? So when two dogs fight, often we don't look at the signs. So it comes as a total surprise to us as owners. So when two dogs start to fight, often we just stand there and we're like in shock and maybe go into panic mode, and we start screaming and yelling and maybe throwing things at the dogs, or I don't know, different people react differently. The thing to do, the number one, I think most important thing to do when a dog fight has started is to just take a breath and just, okay, what am I going to do now? And act instinctually, not out of panic, but out of instinct. You need to be calm and assertive. And with calm, I don't mean, you know, lay back, just you need to be calm and assertive. You have to have a goal, and the goal in that moment is these dogs are not gonna fight anymore. They're gonna be together in a calm state. If you decide to use your voice, don't scream and just repeat words over and over, because that just makes the whole situation even worse. Instead, you can use words, but you have to be firm and use just calm but assertive voice and just tell them no. And the most important thing is the energy behind the words. And while you do that, depending on the situation, you can throw something, and that might make them stop to fight long enough for you to step in and pull them aside. You can also pull the legs. This is really good, especially with big dogs, that you can't really put them or you take them by the neck and make them let go of each other. You can pull their legs, their back legs, and just pull them apart and work from there. And once you have separated the dogs, I recommend putting leashes on them. And once again, it's very hard to say what you're supposed to do, because every situation is different. But some options are, the most important thing is don't separate the dogs. Like, throw one dog in another room and have one dog here, because like I said in my previous video, if you have watched that one when Annie and Dino got into a dog fight, the most common mistakes when dog fights in the same pack family occur is that people do separate their dogs. But what happens then is that the dogs, the last memory they have of each other is fighting. So when they are reintroduced, say maybe the next day or a week later, the last thing they remember of each other is fight, and they're gonna go right back into that fighting mode. So instead, absolutely separate the dogs so they don't, get at each other. Stay calm and assertive. Have a leash so you can steer the dogs so you have control over them. And I recommend going for a walk. Just take one dog in one hand and the other dog in the other hand, and just go for a walk with that same calm and assertive energy. And just walk and let the tension, everything that they have just gone through, just go away through walking. So another thing you can do is to just lay the dogs down on the ground on their side and just create this calm place for them to just calm themselves down. Now, to do this, you might have to be 2 people because there's 2 dogs, or depending on the situation, if there was only one dog that actually fought and the other dog was just protecting him or herself, then the original source of the fight is the thing you have to just completely calm down. So lay them down on the ground. I did this to Dino in the video where they fighted, and that worked really well, because then when they get up, they are in a completely different mind. I still recommend though that when they come up, go for that walk. Go and do that dog walk. So yeah, that's some things you can do when the fight has already begun. Now let's talk about how to prevent dog fights. Number 1, most important thing to prevent dog fights is work on yourself. Become the pack leader that your dogs need, so they don't have to go into, being bosses and deciding things and taking action, because they know you're gonna do that. You're gonna lead them, so they don't have to do that. That can be hard. I know, it's very frustrating at the beginning, especially when you're just learning dog language and there's so much to think about. But it gets easier, I promise, if you just practice and practice and practice some more. Also, it's very important to create structure, because structure gives the dogs, rules, boundaries and limitations, and with those things, they learn to respect one another and you as a human and the pack leader, and fights are not as likely to start because they know their boundaries, they know the rules, they know, their place within the pack. Another thing that's very important to know your dogs. What type of personality does your dog/dogs have? Do you have two dogs that are both very dominant, that maybe are similar in ages, maybe two males for example, or two females? Dogs that easily can see each other as competition. Do you have those kinds of dogs? If so, you have to be even more alert about the small signals that they are giving each other, and just the way they interact with one another, because absolutely they can live in the same pack, but you have to be more careful because a dog fight can more easily break out. And something that goes hand in hand with this is to learn the early signals, to learn the dog language, the body language, just the way they interact with one another, and to see things. You can see small things that can indicate that a dog fight could happen in the future, because often dog owners that have two dogs that one day just fighted a whole bunch, they will say that these two dogs got along like for 3 years previous to this fight, nothing ever happened. But if you go into the small print and really look at different situations, you can see things that indicate that no, they didn't fight that time, but it's still one step up, and then one day they just couldn't keep it in anymore and a fight happened. So there's always these small things before a fight that you can just see that, okay, this is not going to end well, we better do something about this now. And the thing to do is create structure and show them that, okay, I'm gonna lead this, you guys just be dogs, just do your own thing, and I'm gonna take care of this. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't already checked out my previous video with Annie and Dino, I recommend you do that. It's a quite interesting, fun video. And we will see you next week. Bye!